Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you are keeping well. Inshallah, we're going to have a very special start for our new series called Spiritual Saturdays. The name may be a little bit confusing, but don't worry, I will explain it. Spiritual Saturdays, it means that on Saturdays we'll come and speak about spiritual topics. Well, maybe it wasn't that complicated after all. So, I hope you're keeping well. I hope you stay with us till the end of today's session. And I will be speaking for a few minutes initially, and then I will stop speaking. And then I will listen to your points. If you have questions, we'll talk about them. And if you don't have questions, well, we'll find something to talk about. There's not really much to worry about. Life is short. So, Assalamu alaikum to everyone, to every single one of you. You are my favorite people in the world. And Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Let's begin. So, initially, in the first 20 to 30 minutes, I will, if you allow me, turn the comments off so people don't get distracted. After 20-30 minutes, once my initial presentation is over, I will turn them back on and we'll discuss and we'll have a Q&A. There we go. Okay, so today I want to speak about a topic which is, I think, very important for all of us, especially those who are interested in spirituality. And I want to start by a short story. It's a short story anecdote, which is quite funny too. In Islamic spirituality, the books that were written, there was usually this character that people would make fun of or would do silly things, but then every now and then would say something so deep and which would like really bring everyone to awe and then cause reflection, cause them to think about it. Well, in this story that I want to share with you today, it's a little bit, by the way, naughty, so don't attack me, it's a story. So apparently this person really was a drunk, was a little bit tipsy. He used to go to the local pub and keep drinking, etc. One night when he was gone to the local tavern and he was like drinking really hard, and then he drank all the way till middle of the night, 2-3 a.m. He came out of the pub a little bit tipsy, a little bit drunk, and a police there saw him, and the police officer came to him and was like, "What are you doing here at this time of the night? Where are you going? Where'd you come from? Who are you?" And then, as the story goes, this guy looked at the police officer and said, "If I knew the answers to these questions, I would have been home," right? And although when I said it, it's not as funny as it was when I read it myself, but still I think you get the point, right? The police officer was asking all these questions. Where are you coming from? Where's your home? What are you doing here? And the guy was like, "Dude, if I knew I would be home, I wouldn't be drinking here." And now, although many of us are not drinking the kind of things he was drinking, but we are all, in some sense, engaged in certain things because we really don't know what's the whole point of being here, right? And for someone it could be their work, for someone it could be their studies, for someone it could be just like, I don't know, anything really. And we always have this sense of, what's the point of this? Like, why are we here? Or like, what is the whole fuss? Why is it so difficult to live in this place? And what are we? Are we souls? Are we animals? What are we? So I thought maybe tonight we can speak a little bit about this. The idea that, we even have those, I started with a story about a person goes to pub. Another sheikh may have started with a hadith that says, may God bless the person who knows where they're coming from, where they're going, etc., etc. Rahimallah imra'an knows from where he's come from, something like that. We could have started with that hadith too, but I decided to start with the story about pubs. Same thing, really. The message is the same. It's good to know where are we coming from, where are we going, Because this life, when we're busy with it, it seems fine. You get distracted, right? When you have a plan, when you're like, okay, I'm going to study and then get a job, get a promotion. But every now and then these times come when you keep thinking, okay, let's say I got my job. Let's say I got this promotion. What's the point of it, right? So what? What will kind of happen afterwards? Like, why are we doing all of this? And so this is the question. Why are we doing here? Where's our home? Why doesn't this place feel like home? And so there are some people who come and give us some answers, like, you're not originally from this world. You were created in a different realm. It's not like, that famous line, you are not a physical body having a spiritual experience. You're a spiritual entity having a physical experience. So they tell us these things, but unfortunately we don't have a very clear memory of that, right? So they tell us, yes, your home is somewhere else. Or they tell us, you know where you're going. You're going to this place. You're going to meet your Lord. Inna lillah, you came from God. Wa inna ilayhi raji'un, you're going to your Lord. You're going to God. So they say all of these things, but it seems a little bit, what can we call it, foreign to our experience of life, right? It's not like we've seen it. They say you're a soul, but I feel like, this doesn't feel like a soul. It's like physical, it feels physical. So I was thinking about this, and I remembered a movie I was watching a while ago. I think it's an American movie, but they made an Iranian one also based on that. You may have seen it, I don't know. So in the movie, the girl, there was a guy and a girl, like many movies, and the girl had lost her memory. So she had forgotten that she's in love with this guy, what's happened to her, what she's done up to this point of her life. And every day she would wake up and her memory would be deleted, right? So even the things she would learn on that day, again, tomorrow when she woke up, she'd forgotten them. So as far as I remember, what the guy did is her partner created a tape, like a kind of video, and explained to her, see, you've forgotten your memory. This is who you are. Your name is this is what you did. And then we fell in love. We got engaged, or I don't know if we got engaged or married or whatever. And then every day, and so also he put a sign as well, I think in her bedroom or something. So every day she would wake up, she didn't remember anything, but then there was a sign, watch this, it will explain. And then she would wake up, watch the video, and then in that video, her partner was explaining, hello, I know you've forgotten, every day you forget your memory, you lose your memory, but this is who you are, this is your name, we met here, we fell in love, these are the things you do. And then she would watch that video, get an idea of who she is, and start her day. And then thinking, it made me feel like, wow, that's so similar to the kind of situation we are in. It's as if we've lost the memory of where we belong to, what we really are. And then there are these things that tell us, yes, you're a soul. You're a spiritual being. You're not a physical being. You're a soul created by God out of love. You are in this physical world, but it's just that you've forgotten. One day you're going back, right? You may feel unloved. You may feel lonely, but you really love. It's just you can't feel it. It's as if it's the same thing. We've forgotten how it feels. We've lost the connection, and then religion in its original form, in its OG religion, is there to remind us of these things. I posted a story, was it yesterday? One of the teachers of Akhlaq had said, all the prophets have come to tell you, do you know how much God loves you? Right? So it's exactly like the prophets came, or basically we can call the scriptures, or like that video in the movie, that when you forget who you are, why you're here, you watch it, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm a soul. Okay, what else? I'm going to go back home. Okay, this is not my home. Okay, this is supposed to be a little bit difficult, painful. Okay, one day it finishes. Okay, So they say all of these things. But we've got a few problems. Just like the movie, imagine you're in the movie, you're the girl. You wake up and you watch a video and someone yet you don't remember. So then he says, you know what? We fell in love. We're engaged. You're like, okay, you're telling me that, but I don't feel it. I don't remember ever loving you, like, or for example, I don't even know what your name is. So even though they may tell you, and that's what really happened, you fell in love with this person, you love them, etc. But now that you've forgotten about it, it's very difficult to accept it. It's very difficult to experience it again, right? Which is also kind of like what we're in. They tell us we're a soul. They tell us there's a God that loves us. They tell us we're going to go back home one day. This is not our home. But it doesn't feel very much connected to the reality of our experience at this moment. So what is the solution? What should we do? And that's what I'm trying to be talking about tonight. About how to make this knowledge real, right? I know instead of just getting these reminders that we're a soul, etc., etc., why not get to a place where we can feel it, where we can see that again, right? And I think in the movie also that happened. The girl, even though she'd lost her memory, fell in love again, right? So it wasn't from that point onwards that, someone is telling me I was once in love, so I should be with this person. No, again, she fell in love. And now I'm saying, let's try to gain that knowledge again. Right now, it's just people telling us, yes, God loves you. You're a soul. You're going somewhere. This is not your home. But now I'm saying, let's try and gain that ourselves. Feel it. Okay? And it seems like it's possible. Now, the reason perhaps why we're not gaining that experience, why we don't feel like a soul, why we don't, even though we are a soul, right? Why is it that we're not connected to our home? Why is it that we don't feel these things? There are plenty of reasons for it, but perhaps one of them is that because, at the core of us, at the core of who we are, even up to now, we are connected to our reality. We are home, right? The core of who we are. But then the thing is, on top of this, there are layers and layers of things which block us from feeling that, right? And so it's as if we're stuck in different layers of our mind, and this stops us from really seeing what's going on deep down. And this is why a lot of urafa or our spiritual teachers say that where you find God is inside. You have to take a journey inside. But the problem is when we want to go inside, it's not like we immediately get connected to the deepest part of who we are, our reality. No, there are so many layers we've built on top of that during our life here. Some ideas about who we are, some identities, right? Some thought patterns. And so these things, some feelings that we've gained over the time, some traumas, there's a lot of fear we have inside, there's a lot of insecurities we have inside, there's a lot of anxieties we have inside, there's a lot of beliefs about ourselves we have, that yes, I'm this person who can only do this, I'm that, And so when we try to go deep inside and find our core being, unfortunately, we encounter all of these things, right? Like you want to go deep inside and find your soul, but then you come across your anxiety, you come across your fears, you come across your dreams, you come across your wishes, right? So all of these things stop us from really going deep down, because on top of what we are, we've created so many things. Right? And so even, and I said it could be fears, anxieties, insecurities, which are negative, but it could also be things which we call positive, like our dreams about the future, our wishes. So for example, we sit down, try to go deep and connect to who we are, but then that comes to our mind are our dreams. Ooh, if I get this job, or if I, So I'm not saying dreams are bad, but I'm saying that they could stop us, or at least they could divert our attention away, right? Because the journey inside is very difficult. And for me, this became very clear in a dream of mine, right? I saw, I had a dream that, have you seen hamster wheels? Like the hamster is on a wheel and it keeps running on the, right? And it doesn't get anywhere, right? It keeps running. So I had a dream that I'm on a hamster wheel, or like a sheikh wheel, and I was so tired. Because imagine in the hamster wheel, you just keep running. You never arrive anywhere, right? Just keep running, keep running. The more you run, it's like nothing happens. You just have to keep running. And I felt like I'm there. I was really tired. I was exhausted, right? I just wanted to sit down, but you can't. You have to keep running. And then for a second, I looked right, and I saw there's a way out. Like, it's not like I saw anything there, but I had a feeling that to my right, because, you know, the hamster wheel, both sides are empty, right? It's just a wheel in front of you that you keep running, but both sides are open. You can't just go, right? But so I saw on to my right, there's as if there's a force that is ready to help me, right? As if there's a force that's ready to take my hand and bring me out of this hamster wheel, because I was just running nonstop. But the problem I had was, as soon as I wanted to pay attention to this whatever being or force to my right, which was there to help me, as soon as I wanted to pay attention and get out, something in front of me would grab my attention back, right? So I wanted to pay attention to this, but suddenly a thought would come, and for some reason, as soon as a thought came, I would be back in the hamster wheel. I couldn't look there. I was here again. And I would, for a few seconds at least, forget that there is even such a thing there that can help me out. Like, I was again back here and not even knowing that there's a way out. And so I would again run. And then again, like a realization, oh, I'm tired of this. I want to look out. I want to get out. I was trying to get out. And then again, another thought or something, a thought, a feeling. And then I was back again. And at that point, I was so scared. Like, for a second, I felt like, wow, it's as if like my thoughts keep coming. They don't allow me even a few seconds to focus on this thing, to get out, right? It's as if like I can't even have a few seconds free from these distractions to save myself. Right? Like, my mind wouldn't even let me be just for a few seconds, because all it took was a few moments to focus on this thing and get out. But as soon as I was trying another thought, as soon as I was, right? So I felt kind of trapped in my own thoughts and feelings and fears, which is, you know, what I'm also trying to say here, that, well, it's not like in life we're on a hamster wheel and God, you know, thank God. But it's not very different either. We're all tired, you know. We're all tired of all these thoughts, the chatterbox in our head, the fears, the insecurities, the dreams, the wishes, even like one after the other. You know, wherever we are, even sometimes you're eating food, but your mind is somewhere else. Like, it's as if we are tired. We are tired. Like running nonstop on a hamster wheel. But that tiredness in real life shows itself in the sense of feeling exhausted, feeling disconnected, feeling not motivated, losing your bliss, losing your peace, losing your calm. And the way out is to focus on that being that wants to help. But it's not easy, because so many things keep bringing us back to ourselves, right? It's as if you're in a room. You know, it's like we're prisoner in a room, and the door is open, right? The door is open, and we're prisoner in this room, and we don't like the room. We're getting tired of the room, and the door is open, but as soon as we want to go, something makes us forget, right? So we're not locked inside. In other words, what's stopping us from going out are not like locks or distractions or are things which make us want to stay, right? Sometimes our wishes, sometimes our fears, like we're so afraid that we don't even look up. And I have another story of that. I remember I was very young, and we'd gone to a friend's house, and for a few hours they kept sharing scary stories. And I was really scared. I was really young, maybe 6, 7 years old. We came back home, and my brother and I, we shared our bedroom, right? So his bed was there, my bed was 1 meter away. And I was so scared. But I couldn't even, I was so scared. I pulled my blanket on top of my face, and I didn't even have the courage to bring it down and look. So the whole night, I remember maybe 4 or 5 hours, I was in my bed under the blanket, shivering, scared, and I didn't have the courage to bring it down and look what's going on. And then in the morning, I realized that my brother was also scared. My brother was 4 years older than me, like he must have been around 11, 12 back then. So he was also scared, but he had left the room and had gone next to my parents, and I was like, Mom, Dad, I'm scared, can I sleep with you? Right? All it had taken for me not to suffer that 4 and 5 hours was to remove the blanket for a few seconds, see Reza's gone. Oh, well, I can go out as well. I can go with my parents too. That's all it would have taken, but my fear didn't even allow me to look. So I'm saying there are so many things that keep us in this room, like the prison which is inside us, and don't stop us, don't allow us to find a way, and the door is open. I'm not saying it's easy, it's really hard. And I'm going to give you another example as well to make this point very clear. See, I remember another thing I remember as a child was, you must have done this as well, as part of science class or just something fun to do with your friends. We would take this magnifying glass, right, the magnifying glass, and you would have to point it like under the sun. You have to point it at a piece of paper or sometimes a fallen leaf at a certain angle and hold it, very still. And then the light of the sun, which is always there and doesn't do anything, but through the magnifying glass, it would slowly burn the paper, and it would create a hole inside, right? You must have tried it. But the thing is this, you had to hold it really still on one spot on the paper or the leaf to make sure the heat, piles up till the light of the sun can create a hole. And so I feel as well like paying attention to God, or to that being on that hamster wheel that was ready to save me, is like that. Paying attention to God is like putting a magnifying glass that can create a hole in all of these blockages that we've created inside us. But the thing is, just like the magnifying glass that you had to hold it still, at least for a short time, till, the heat piles up till it can create a hole, with attention to God, with that kind of, it can only work if we can keep the attention long enough to create heat, right? If our attention goes to God, but immediately we're distracted, yes, you get the paper a little bit hot, but it's not long enough to create a hole, right? So this is what we need. Longer period of exposure to God's light, right? Longer periods of remembrance of God, so that through His warmth, through His light, He could create a hole in all of these fears, insecurities, blockages that we have, so that through this hole we can look inside and find the core part of who we are, which is a beautiful soul created by God. But as I said, in order for that to happen, that remembrance has to be long enough to create something. If it's for a few seconds, interrupted by something else, distracted by something else, as soon as it wants to, do something, it cools off, right? And this is why you find in the Quran that one of the things that God says has no limit is the remembrance of God. Right? فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ ذِكْرًا كَثِيرًا. The more you remember me, the more you pay attention to me, the better. It has no limit. The more you do it, the better. So that's that. And another thing which I wanted to share as well is that one of the places in which this remembrance can happen spiritually and Islamically is through our salat, right? For example, God says in the Quran, أَقِمِ الصَّلَاةَ لِذِكْرِ, pray so that you can remember me, right? But then the thing is this, even prayer can only work as long as when we are praying, we manage to, for a few seconds, get a pause from the distractions on the hamster wheel and look at God, face God. Because you could be praying and still be on the hamster wheel, right? If I'm praying and my mind is about what I'm going to be doing, what I have done, still that prayer hasn't led to dhikr. It's like you're holding the magnifying glass, right? But you're not pointing it at the sun. You're pointing it at different things. So the prayer, salat, is like a magnifying glass. It's necessary to create that whole. But it can only work if it's pointed at God long enough, right? But the problem we have right now is that the way a lot of people teach us about religion is that they tell us, pray, have the magnifying glass, have a magnifying glass. It's wajib to hold a magnifying glass, right? Not so much focus on the fact that this magnifying glass has to be pointed to the sun to work. Exposed to the sun to work. Right? They say, no, see, this magnifying glass is wajib. And they tell you some qualities about the magnifying glass, like it has to be this color, this brand, this length, etc. Okay, fair enough. But all of that is not going to work if it's not exposed to the sun, right? But then, which is, I was reading this book. It's very interesting. It mentioned that, it said that some scholars, some theologians tell you that you have to, it's obligatory for you to pray 5 daily prayers. And if you don't, you will be punished. So this is what some theologian says. But it says the real Muslim, the spiritual Muslim, it wouldn't tell you that pray 5 times or you'll be punished. It says no. They say, see, prayer helps you get connected to God. It helps you break free from your blockages, create a hole inside all of these distractions and get connected to who you are. It's getting invited to a divine feast, a divine banquet. And why would you want to miss out on that? And just missing out on that is the punishment. It's not like there's going to be an extra punishment. No, right? In the same way that just being on the hamster wheel is a punishment. If there is a way out, so prayer is the way out, right? And so it's not like pray or you will be punished. No, we are already missing out on being free, missing out on being connected to ourselves, connected to God. And prayer is a way out if it works, right? And if it's possible to break free, if it's possible to get out of, these mental labyrinth, this mental maze that blocks us here, if it's possible to break out of this, then why not? It's the worst punishment we can put on our own to stay here, right? And that's what the whole thing is. There's not going to be an extra punishment on top of that. This is the worst punishment to begin with, just to be stuck in ourselves, right? And this is why you see also Prophet himself, this line is attributed to the Prophet in which he says that salat is qurrata aini, right? Like it's the freshness of my eyes. Prophet really enjoyed salat. And you can wonder why. Imagine, in my example of the hamster wheel, if I could get out and finally get a break from all these things, that go on non-stop, and you can finally get connected to who you are, a soul created by God, get connected to God. Isn't that beautiful? And now it makes sense why Prophet would used to say to the mu'adhin, to Bilal, arihna ya Bilal. Arihna means make us comfortable, right? As if we're exhausted, suffocated in this world, in our mind, all of that. And salat is our way out. Arihna ya Bilal. When Bilal wanted to recite the adhan, which is what we started today's live session with, right? Because adhan is a reminder that there's a way out. But again, as I said, this can only work as long as the prayer is real, as long as the prayer is done. As I said, the magnifying glass has to be exposed to the sun. And it may take time. We may need to learn it, right? We may need to learn it. It may take time, but it can work. It will work. We can get there. And why not? It's worth it. It's really worth it. Because what else can we do? What else can we do? Do we really want to be stayed in this prison for the rest of our life? This prison of chase this, chase that, chase this, chase that, worry about this, fear that, Hope if there's a way out, why not? And salat is designed, again I'm saying, I'm not going to sell to you the normal prayer. There are a lot of people who are doing that. No, I'm talking to you about a different salat. It may look very similar, but it's different. It's a journey. It's a meeting. It's a way out, right? That salat is designed in a way, every step of it, every part of it, to help you get out of the hamster wheel, to help you break free, to create a window in this room that you're locked in so that you can see a little bit of the outside as well. And as you create more windows in this room of yourself, in this dark room, and through only our thoughts, only our patterns, only our fears and worries, suddenly a little small hole opens on the wall and light comes in. It could be really small. It could be very tiny, but it leads to a little bit of peace inside. And so you go through the same day that you used to go, tough day you had, but inside you feel a little bit calmer, a little bit more strong. I'm not saying outside problems suddenly turn into dust. No, the problems will be there, but inside you feel a little bit more strong. And then slowly the hole increases and more light comes in, and inside you're like, wow, it's as if I'm changing. It's as if like I'm, I feel like I was stronger than I thought. It seems like I didn't know myself. I'm stronger than I thought. A month ago, this thing was bringing me down. I was collapsing under the burden of this pain. But now don't get me wrong, still it's difficult, but I'm still standing. That's something, right? And slowly you get stronger. You find yourself things you didn't know you have. And every part of prayer is designed to create these things. Today I shared the post on Instagram about how a lot of the thoughts we have are not ours, right? We may get these thoughts in our head that you're unworthy. We may get these thoughts that you're not good enough. We may get these thoughts that you'll never get better, right? And I said, these thoughts are not ours, right? There are external sources that can, come and put thoughts in our mind, right? But then through prayer, we will find a place that will plant good thoughts in our mind, thoughts which are correct. And initially, it may not be a thought. Initially, it may be a sentence. But if we reflect on it, that sentence can lead to a thought, that can lead to a feeling, that can lead to who we are. What do I mean? See, when you're praying, right, as part of your ruku, one of the things you may say is that Sama'allahu liman hamidah. God hears. God hears. Sama'allah. God hears. Right? It's just a sentence. It's just a sentence. But if you take your magnifying glass of your attention and expose it to this sentence, Sama'allah, and if you're mindful, slowly, after a while, this sentence can turn into a thought in your head that God hears me. God hears me. And now imagine, instead of just a random sentence that, God watches everything, God sees everything, God hears everything. That's not us. That's something we've read in the sentence. Imagine if our own being gives rise to this thought. Imagine if we own this thought. This thought comes out inside us. And then it turns into a feeling slowly, that instead of just a scholar telling you, yes, did you know that God listens to everything? Did you know that God? No. Inside this, you feel it. A feeling inside you tells you, oh, God can hear me. And so when I'm in pain, when there's nobody to talk to me, I can tell him and he will listen. He's there. You own this. The sentence turns into a thought, turns into a feeling, and then it becomes part of who you are, part of your experience. And then you experience that God is there with you, right? Or for example, you're getting up from sajda, you say, بِحَوْلِ wa quwwatihi aqumu wa aqud. By God's strength, by God's help, by God's will, I'm getting up from the sajda. And sometimes, if you really care about it, sometimes, you're getting up from the sajda, you're saying, بِحَوْلِ wa quwwatihi aqumu wa aqud. Stay there in the middle of sajda. Don't get up completely and say, what am I saying? Am I saying right now as I'm getting off from the ground, God is there? This is God's power helping me stand up? And think about that. And slowly, slowly, this will become part of you. Wow! Even in getting up, He's there. This thing inside that I think it's my strength to get up, this is His. He's that close to me. Slowly, slowly, it will create these things. Initially, it's a sentence you say, بِحَوْلِ wa quwwatihi aqumu wa aqud. But expose the magnifying glass of your heart long enough to this sentence, and slowly, slowly it will become part of you. Slowly, slowly it will create a hole in all of these thoughts that you have, that God's not there with me, that I'm alone, that no one's going to get me, no one's there to help me. I can't handle this. And slowly, slowly, the light of this sentence will create a hole in all of those beliefs. Like, no, it seems like there is someone there. And I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying it's going to happen in one night. It may take time. It may take months, but it's worth it. And this is prayer. If we do it this way, it's beautiful. If we do it any other way, it won't get us anywhere.